Well, for our track expansion, the number one idea we have is to do a loop right around the open-air market. The train, if it was going in the direction we're showing now, would leave from the train station. What we have here with ropes, we hope one day might be a gazebo-type structure and a small ticket booth. So the train would proceed south. It takes about a 5-foot swath to have the track and a safety zone of 2 feet on each side of the track, and that would be fenced and would have logs beside it, so we don't lose any parking spots. They'll jut out a bit further towards the road, but still well off the road. So the idea here is the train would proceed next to the tires, a 5-foot ribbon, and then when it crosses the road, it's only the width of the train tracks. They would be covered with wood or even more likely concrete to make it an absolutely smooth surface for walking, and no one would trip on it. And we would put a railroad sign like we have at the load area, and we might even put a barrier that swings up and down to add to the show. We see this as being a showcase entrance for the open-air market. Then the train will proceed about through the center of those 3 panels there, 3 fence panels, and you may see a white ribbon or a yellow ribbon on a cedar tree there. The train would proceed straight through that way, going towards, in the background you can see the musicians' warm-up tent. Whenever the train goes past a vendor stall such as this, it will have the wooden slats and a 10-foot wide entrance for a truck to move in, and in this case a truck could even park inside right next to the vendor area without any problem. So we'd be proceeding south here. That alder straight in front of us is marked for removal, as is the 3 behind. So the train would be proceeding in a dead straight line from the Y. So the camera here is on what would be the railroad tracks, and this is where the curve would start, moving to go behind the food pavilion. One of our problems in planning it is looking at this wonderful big fir tree straight in front. Big root system. We can't have growing roots under the track. So it's a bit tight to go to the right of that tree. We would get very close to the well, which you can see where the ferns are there, a small white cap there. That's the well. So what we're recommending is to go between this gap of trees right exactly where the warm-up shack is. We can move the warm-up shack either right over here beside the music pavilion, or coming all the way around and behind us. You can see alders that will be removed there, but this spot right here is even a little closer to the music pavilion and would be a good spot for the warm-up shack. So the curve would be going in front of us through what is now the warm-up shack, and there is a alder marked with a red mark. That would be gone. That's roughly where the train would enter. What may not show up on film is the yellow tag on a tree. That's roughly where it would enter the forest, and then straight ahead there's another yellow tag with a cedar in the background. So that's roughly the path the train would be taking. We would again give access to cars. Every place that there are cars parking now, we just keep a 10-foot wooden part over the track so the vehicles can pass. So the cars could park on this side if that's what the people wanted, or the cars could park on this side. So we really don't lose many parking spaces. So there we are back on direction of track again. So we're on the track, the proposed track location, right in the center of the little forest here. This, of course, would be cleaned up to park standards as we've done on Wellington Beach Trail. So you can see the food barn behind us and the track looking back towards the shack. And you can see 100 feet away or so the trail riders area. And of course, when the train goes by here, there'll probably be much less noise coming from the train than is normally coming from the announcements or the music in the music pavilion. So we're looking back on the track now. These alders you're looking at are very old and they're marked for removal. It's just the higher quality cedars and firs that will have a rather picturesque route past those. So you can see that looking off the train, one would be able to see the back of the vendors area. And we have the two roads access right now to the vendor area. And what we're hoping is that both certainly could be left open, but we think there's a reason to rationalize those and use one of the roads for parking and ensure that there's regular access to all of the vendor booths and also preserve lots of vendor parking. So the train would be coming on this route from the music warm-up shed there, and then turning around. You can see the therapeutic riding buildings there, and you can see a yellow ribbon in front. We would stay to the left of this big fir tree to keep out of the way, and if again vendor parking was important in these areas, a couple of more spots could be made there, and then we'll just standard thing, make the track available for going across. So again here, keeping to what is now the right of this fir tree, staying close to the road so that the road is still usable and we would be beside it going to the open area there. So the train would come beside the road on the camera side of the road and be doing a curve and go right in to the center of that big tall cedar that we're pointing at, just to the right of the trunk of that cedar. So the idea here is to use this, what we call the open air market inner forest. There's a road to the left over there that goes all the way up to the parking area, and a road to the right where the vendors park, and you can see our original loop in the background. Well, there's a lovely, already fairly clear path through the center of this forest, and we'll take the train right through there. Now you can see that this is a very wide open area. We'll make whatever number of crossings make sense. Again, this is a whole big area that is the combined road and parking area. Once the Agricultural Association decides where it wants its road, we'll make that crossing area, and that may even in fact open up more parking spots because people will see which part is actually the road and which part is available for parking. So swinging the camera around, you can see where we are relative to the vendors area. You can see where the train comes out of the road on the right here. Again, there's two roads, so the road on the left could either stay as it is or be closed off and used for parking. The road on the right could be the one for vendor access to the booths, and we'd make whatever crossing required. And just for reference, this of course the road coming in from Myrtle Avenue, and then we're going up to back on track for where the train would be going. So here we are in the center of the forest. You can see it's quite clear straight ahead. That's the path that the train would be on. And swinging left here, you can see some of the nice trees that will be available. And then we'll be looking back here. We're looking back to where the track would go. It would go to the left of this big cedar. And that's the track we spoke of before. And here is the open air market. And now we're back on the train route. So we're still on the track in the same direction. Where the camera is right now there's a small trail about halfway through that forest. Now we're looking back to that big tall cedar where the track is just to the left of. And then this is where that trail comes out onto the handicap parking and the seniors parking. And there we are back on track. So here's what I've been calling the open air market inner forest. The train's going through the middle of that. The train will be coming out very close to where those 4 posts are that demark that road right there. Again, we have 2 roads into the park here with the sheep enclosure there, which I think is going to be permanent, which is a good thing to have. This road that I'm looking at here could be turned into a parking spot, and the train would go by to the left of both of the big cedars that you see in the picture. and then the train would connect onto the loop right about where the gravel pile is. So here we are between those two sets of posts we were just looking at, looking back on the train route through the open air market inner forest, and looking over to the sheep pen, over to the other pair of posts, and the other, what I'm suggesting should be the permanent road. So this road, a little, about 12 feet wide, is plenty to get the big trucks and things that are needed in for fall fair events or anything else, any other access to this field. So our original loop will probably keep what was the trestle, which is behind this cedar straight in front of us, because it is kind of a picturesque part of the route right now. And so the ride would go behind those trees onto the trestle, across the trestle, and then back to where the current ride ends. So that route we just walked, the whole loop around the park, would be about 900 feet. It would probably take us several years to build it. We'll be operating this 700-foot piece of track that we'll be operating at the Fall Fair 2012 for several years before we get that loop around the park, if in fact the rest of the user groups want us to do that. So we're looking forward to people understanding what the proposal is and deciding what's right for the park in general.